I spent Easter at the Efteling with some family and some friends. Now, we went in with certain expectations, and I want to share with you what actually happened. Welcome to Factor Nostalgia, where we discuss everything theme park then, now, and when. I'm your host, Sarah, and I said I'm going to talk you through our Efteling visit yesterday. I do not have any of the people that were with me, I do not have them here to record it with me. So, you're just going to have to settle for me this time for this trip review episode. Okay? Well, here we go. So, first of all, it was Easter, and the weather was decent, so we had expected it to be super busy. So last year, oh, and on top of that, by the way, all the elementary schools are already on their break, school break. It's the May vacation break, is what we call it here. Now, for those of you that don't know, in the Netherlands, we have 1 week usually in May, and that's week after next. However, a lot of elementary schools also add on this week that we're now entering because of Easter, and it's kind of like a broken week anyway, because here we get the second day of Easter as well, which is on the Monday. So anyway, long story short, we were expecting it to be very, very crowded because like half of the country has the day off after as well. A bunch of kids are already on their break. So, what are you going to do with kids who are home all the time? You take them to a theme park to wear them out, right? Okay. Anyway, we decided to go because this was the one date that worked for all of us. And my kid's not school going yet, so it's whatever for him. We decided to, the park opens at 10. Last time I went during this May break, it took a good half hour to actually park the car upon arrival because it was just so crowded. So we decided, let's meet up at 9:30 instead, or arrive at 9:30 and meet up at the gates at 10 or a little before 10, because I assumed it would take a long time. Again, we all did. It did not. We were in the parking lot. We arrived, I think, at the entrance to the parking structure about 9:20. And I think we had parked the car and unloaded everything, including like the stroller and all the bags and things that we needed. By 9:30, we were on our way to the main gate. So that was pretty decent. Now, we still had to wait till 10 because not everybody came by car. So, but it was fine. I mean, the weather was nice, so and we all had some time to kind of look up our tickets because, you always lose those in your email anyway. So, it all worked out in the end, and we entered the park at 10. Now, first thing we decided to do was head to Danse Macabre because most of the people in the group hadn't done it yet. So, last time I went, I shared that with you as well, my first impressions of Danse Macabre. So we wanted to see that one friend and I who went at the time. He was here again, and then we had more people in our group. So we wanted to see how did it hold up, yes or no, and what they thought, of course. So off we went. By the time we had arrived in the app, it had showed that the queue time had jumped from 30 minutes when we checked to an hour. So we decided to time it, and I think it took us about 35 minutes to be in our seats on the ride. So that wasn't so bad. As for, our experience on the ride, it was fun to do it again. It has a good repeatability because you may get a different seat each time and you see different things depending on where you are in the room when you're spinning and all these things. So I did see some things that I didn't see last time, so that was nice. But the fact remains, it's a great ride. It's fun. The theming is great. The backstory is great. Um, Still, I'm glad that we did it in 35 minutes, and even that, my preference would be about 20-ish, given the general wait times at Efteling. That's what I would give it. Because you do need a little bit of queue time to be able to see all the detail also in the queuing area. So I don't mind waiting if the waiting area is done well as well. But the point remains, it yeah. It's a good ride. It's a fun ride. The rest thought so too, and they also agreed that last time when we waited 2 hours, that was not worth it, but we knew it would be that long because it was brand new and that's just what people do. So, but they liked it. We didn't ride it a second or third time. We just stuck to that one time and that was it. So, do with that information what you will. Something to note here as we had our toddler with us, and obviously he can't go on the ride. He's like a year and change. So I asked them about the baby switch because, a lot of rides have baby switch available. If you want to know which ones and you have the Efteling app, open it up and just scroll to the information section. And there's a whole list it'll give you of all the baby switch rides, which is great because on their website it's a lot more convoluted than that. So use the app. Anyway, I decided to ask how that would work because we did that last time in Disney as well and in December. So I'll link to that trip as well and what you do um, to that episode of that trip, obviously. Sorry. But what you do there is like you exit the ride, you say, hey, my spouse or partner or whatever is waiting outside with the kid. Can we do a baby switch? They give you a ticket, and that person can come back with another person if your group is big enough to ride the ride and skip the queue. So I was expecting something similar here. However, the rules here are no, that person has to ride alone. And 9 times out of 10, I'm sorry, but that's just, half the fun is experiencing these rides with people. So we ended up not making use of Baby Switch at all the whole day. So that means that, my husband and I kind of took turns in who's going to do which ride, yes or no, which at the same time was fine because we don't like the same types of attractions and I'm much more into theme parks than he is. So it worked out in the end. But, if you're both excited to go on these rides, the best thing to bring to a theme park is another family. I'll just leave it at that. So, we decided to kind of switch it up and do some stuff while the kid was awake that he could go on. And then when he fell asleep, we would do all the thrill rides that he can't go on. Now, we ended up doing a couple of rides that he could go on before his nap and then after his nap. And I know, I'm sorry, this is very kid focused, but if you're going to go and mix company, and this is just the age group we're at, guys, some of us have kids and these kids are going to be around for a while. So we have to bring them when we hang out. So the rides that we went on first that he could go on was Fata Morgana, the boat ride. And I was a little worried that it would be a little bit too dark and too loud for him. But honestly, he did really well. So this fully depends on the type of kid you have. Um, Apparently ours is generally unfazed. So he just looked around and absorbed it all and, was fine. Not scared, didn't make any crying noises, nothing. He just hung out with us. So that was great. As for Fata Morgana, something that we first noticed is that they seem to have changed some of the language. And I don't know how long this has been a thing, but the way I remember it is that there was a lot more Arabic in it because I remember thinking, oh, they actually use like proper Arabic. But then this time I heard, obviously there was French because it's based on Morocco and, colonialism will do that to a country. But we heard German, we heard Dutch, we heard English. So I'm not entirely sure what happened there, if that is something they did on purpose to kind of, appeal to a broader audience. Maybe. Um, and I know I'm biased in that sense because I do understand the Arabic that they speak there, mostly. But to me, I was just kind of taken aback by that. And the rest also noticed that they heard all these different languages, even though they don't speak Arabic. So, not sure what happened there. If you do know, send me a note, an email, leave a comment or something like that, just to confirm that it's not just in my head that it actually changed, because it could still just be in my head. Anyway, so that was the first ride that we took the kid on. We did some other stuff and snacks and food and things like that, which I'll get to later. I just want to get through the rides first. So after that, it was more coaster time because we tried to switch it up a little bit to keep everybody entertained. Um, Part of the group well, most of the group went on Joris and the Draak, so the wooden coaster. I'm not even gonna try to translate it. The wooden coaster. I didn't go on it, and that's also due to these baby switch rules. I didn't even ask this time. I just took the kid and went to a playground. Um, After that, a smaller delegation of our group went on the Python coaster. Um, so, we wanted to make sure we got all the thrill rides in, obviously. And after that, we wanted to do the Flying Dutchman because there was supposedly, they just renovated it and they said they added a scene to it and we wanted to see it. But the queue was pretty high most of the day and relatively, it's 35 minutes. So we decided, let's just wait till it dies down a little. Now, if you'll notice when I say like this was a long queue time and it was 35 minutes, that should give you an indication of how crowded the park was. It was not. A lot of these rides were walk-ons. So, for example, Fata Morgana was essentially walk-on, or you would queue for like 5 minutes. Well, the queue time would say 5 minutes, and you end up waiting for three right at the beginning of the loading station where there were a few people. That was it. The longest we waited the entire day was at the Baron, the drop coaster, and that was because there was a technical issue while we were queuing that took about 15 minutes. So we timed it again. We entered the queue, and from the time we entered the queue until we were in the seats was about 37 minutes, but that included 15 minutes of downtime because of that technical issue. So, all in all, pretty quiet day. Do I have any comments on one of these coaster rides? Not yet. We'll get to the Flying Dutchman in a moment. Kid woke back up, so we decided to, hit all the other rides. So, Carnival Festival, Droomvlucht. What else did we do? Oh, and we did Vogelrok in between, but obviously not with the kid, but we did that one in between as well. And we hit some playgrounds, those of us that weren't on the coasters when the kid was awake, we were at playgrounds, which were all a big hit with the kid. He loved it. And honestly, he's learning how to walk and all that. They have bouncy floors at every playground. So that's great for these running kids and, the falling and stuff that they do. So, big compliment to Efteling there. Now, Carnival Festival, what can we say about Carnival Festival? So we know that it was controversial. I addressed it previously in an episode where I compared the Efteling to Disneyland Paris ride for ride, where we compared Carnival Festival to It's a Small World. And basically, what I said there still holds up. There are some questionable caricatures still around. They try to make the Africa part a little bit better, but the Asia part is still horrendous, honestly. Um, will they ever change it? I don't know, but it's always it's kind of a staple ride regardless. And I'm glad to say that my kid, he looked around. He did not seem to. He usually responds to all the music everywhere. He did not respond to the Carnival Festival song, which I'm happy about because I don't want to be in a few years a household where that song plays on loop. So that was great. Kind of glad that he didn't really respond to the music. Anyway, I digress. Volgorok is as much, yeah, as you can expect, what I said last time as well. The temperature is just too high in the ride. It's too warm and it makes the ride uncomfortable. Other than that, it's great. It was actually better than I remember, but it's just too warm. I really hope they change that at some point because like I said, it's uncomfortable. And if you're prone to motion sickness and things like that, it aggravates it. So I hope they do something about it. Turn up the AC a little bit, you guys, because this is not great. Now, Dreamflight, Droomvlucht was the very last ride we did. We were all extremely tired, so it was the perfect ride to close the day with. Um, I say it was the last ride. It wasn't. After that, we did the Flying Dutchman. Look at me lying to you guys. No, okay, but the rest still stands. We were extremely tired. Um, so in that sense, it was a good ride to kind of take a little break, and the kid could still look around, and that was the last one for him. And after that, he was down for like he, no, he stayed awake, but like, he was not really as responsive as he was anymore. So we needed to get him home and to bed. However, we still wanted to do the Flying Dutchman real quick, so we did. Um, and yeah, the scene that they added, it's the scene where you kind of go through like this area of haunted ships and whatnot to tie in with the story, which is great. But right before that, you go through this area, and the first thing I noticed, because I was looking for like, okay, what's the new part? What's the new part? I looked up and I saw the concrete ceiling that was unfinished, completely unfinished, just concrete. Then it lit up a little bit more as the boat went through that area. I looked to the side, it's a concrete box. They didn't even bother to paint it before you like go into the rest of the ride, and the theming is great and all that, and the ride is still fun, albeit brief. But what's with the concrete box? Why? You work so hard on the theming of a ride, and then you have people go through that? Why? Explain it to me. Make it make sense. It was so, you know, it's so unfortunate because the rest of the theming is done so well, with the storyline and how they explain it and the cue and everything, everything fits except for that. Why? So, yeah, there's that. We wanted to do the fairy tale forest and all these things and the little rides at Anton Pieckplein, but we just ended up not having the time. So I finally do understand why Efteling is no longer a one-day park. Um, so that's good for them, to attract more visitors and to just yeah, I'm happy in that sense because there's plenty to do. But these rides still need some finishing touches, most of them. Anyway, leaves room for improvement, which is also good. What are you going to do if it's perfect? Perfect is boring. Now, on to the snacks and the food. So, we, for the first time, very first time, we had dinner at the park. We went to Polles Keuken, which is the pancake restaurant. Now, none of us have grown up with pancakes being dinner. And for those of you that don't know, when I say pancakes, I mean Dutch pancakes, the thin ones. Not quite as thin as French crepes, but thin compared to American pancakes. They were good, and the restaurant was fun. The theming was fun. The staff was great. Honestly, shout out to the staff because they were amazing. They were so friendly and fun and wonderful. Now I was worried that a pancake for dinner would not be enough dinner, being, not used to pancakes being dinner. But honestly, it was. They were so filling. So there's plenty of choice between savory and sweet. They have some desserts, but honestly, if you have a sweet pancake, you don't really need one. Um, our table was kind of split. We did a whole bunch of different kinds. They had soup as starters, and the soup was great and all good. Oh, they had some summery mocktails, which were also fun. So yeah, honestly, it was good. It was relatively early for what we're used to when having dinner, but at the same time, that was kind of nice because we kind of beat the dinner rush a little bit. And that means that after that, we could go on these other rides real quick before leaving the park. So that was dinner. Snacks. Now, one of the things that I've heard Dutch podcasters rave about is there's this bakery and they have kind of like a tray bake type of thing with cake. It's like kind of in between a cookie and cake. So I decided, you know what? I want to try that. It's over at Bakkerij Krumel. So we went over there and we all got different stuff. Like some of us got pretzels or chocolate covered pretzels, and they had these kind of like pizza bread type situations, which is just like really fluffy dough with pizza toppings um and the portions are big. Like these things are big. They're not like these childish little snacks. So that's good. Anyway, so I stood in front of the thing considering for quite a while which one of these tray bakes I wanted. Took me a long time, decided to just go with the cinnamon caramelly. I think it's fairly standard, kind of like a classic type of flavor. And it was good. It was good. Did it live up to the hype or the expectation I had of it? because of all these other podcasters? No. So that I don't know if that's on me or on them or whatever. Would I get it again? Not that kind. I might try a different flavor because they had a seasonal one with strawberries and I really wanted to try that as well, but I couldn't justify getting another one. So I figured let me leave something for next time because I will be going again over the summer and see what they have then and maybe that'll be different. It was nice. Was it wonderful? Is it something that, I'm like, "Oh, I'm really craving that. When I go back to the Efteling, I'm definitely getting that." No, it was not. No. Now, some other stuff that we tried, some people in the group tried the curry sausage. Um, Again, it was nice for what it was. Um, Not something to go back for. One of the things that I wanted to try as well were the corkscrew type of pastries. I posted that on Instagram a long time ago, and I posted it on my stories as well, asking you guys which one I should get because they had like a bunch of different options. They all looked so good. I ended up going with the strawberry one, and once again, it was nice. And they bake it there on the spot, which is cool because you can see them making it, and I always appreciate that. It was nice, not special, but good. Would I get it again? Maybe because I might want to try a different flavor. But it's essentially like it's this pastry. It kind of looks like a sugar coated croissant dough filled with fruit or whatever else you get, and then they top it with um little meringues and whipped cream and cotton candy. So, instant diabetes, but good, you know. And you take a bunch of steps anyway, so why not? Anything else I want to share about the food from there? I don't think so. I think this about covers it. So, in conclusion, when it comes to food, I would say, if you're going to spend the whole day in the park, there's some stuff you can get that's exclusive to Efteling, and does it really add to the experience? Maybe somewhat. Just don't have super high expectations because it's still theme park food, right? So, as long as you keep that in mind, you'll be fine. Now, I realize I may sound a little bit critical in this episode, but that's also because I've been to the Efteling a bunch of times and there's some stuff that you just notice as you go more often. Um, but I gotta say, it's still a great experience. It's still a beautiful park. It's still clean. The people are friendly, with the exception of the folks over at Danse Macabre, but that's the part they play. So, don't be shocked by that. That's just because they're in character there. And that's the only right they do that at. So keep that in mind. They're not cranky. That's just the part they play. And yes, it's a choice. I realize that it's quite a choice that they made, but that's the idea behind it. But other than that, staff is super friendly, super helpful, and the crowd levels are really, really well managed. And I'm not sure if that had to do with the park being overall a little bit more quiet, but I also know that a while ago, the Efteling came out and said that their aim is to have queues that are all below 20 minutes. And I know that target is a couple years away, but that's something that they're aiming for, and they're trying out new things to kind of deal with crowd control and things like that and disperse people over the park. So, yeah, I mean, in that sense, it's great because you don't feel like you're spending the whole day in the queue. One thing I missed the evening show, Aquanura, which is also new. Part of our group was still in the park, but we had the little one who now runs our lives, so we had to go. Um, but from what I heard, it is beautiful. And I didn't realize, and this is just my bad because I didn't check. I just assumed because of Disney that they would have the show at closing. That's not true. So they had it twice and none of them were at closing. So I could have caught the show, but I didn't. So it's a fountain show and it's right across from where the new Efteling Grand Hotel will be. And yeah, from what I hear, it's beautiful, and it contains a bunch of the music, kind of throwbacks to all these different rides that you've been on throughout the day. And yeah, I hope to catch it over the summer. So next time I go, I'll be sure to check before I go so I can actually see the show. So that's a tip to you as well. Make sure you check the show times before you go. So, what are my tips for you? Well, in terms of rides, Honestly, I think right now, with all the rides that they do have, it's quite a good balance between, the dark rides, the quieter rides, the thrill rides. The balance is there. You just sort of need to think about what you want to do and in what order you want to do them. Um, should you go 1 or 2 days, that is completely up to you. Like I said, I'm gonna go again over the summer, so I'm fine with it being 1 day this one time because I can just do this other day at any time. If you're traveling a distance for this, maybe make the effort of booking an overnight somewhere and going for 2 days. Now, the new Grand Hotel will open in August. I don't know what the availability is looking like right now. I do know that the other hotel, the Efteling Wonder Hotel, has recently reopened. They redid the lobby. They added a suite based on the characters from Carnival Festival. They're going to be adding more suites, I think, this year, but they haven't announced yet what the theming will be. But that's the hotel with the theming after the fairy tales and things like that. So if you want a fully immersive experience, the Efteling Wonder Hotel is probably your go-to. There's a little, they have their own other hotels and things. I will link to an episode that I did breaking down the hotels that they have, the offerings that they have in the show notes. So, go find that if you want to do an overnight. And in terms of food, bring your own, bring some snacks, bring some sandwiches or something like that. No, yeah, bring some sandwiches. Snacks are good. Snacks are okay. But if you want like a good savory lunch, that's just a little healthy sandwich to go. They do have some options, but not everywhere in the park. So you might want to bring something just in case. Um, but in terms of snacks, you should be fine. One thing that we did consider worth it, so they have the Coca-Cola freestyle machines, the ones where you can kind of like mix your own soda, more or less. So you choose a base soda, be it Coke, Fanta, whatever, and you can add flavorings to it. So last time we went, we got the cup that goes with it, and that was, I think, 18 euros. And then if you go another day, you pay another 11 and you have free refills throughout the day. And it's a big cup too. So, yeah, for us that was something that was worth it, and it's just fun because you have your souvenir kind of built in as well. So yeah, that's all I had for you really to kind of review the trip that we had to the Efteling. We had a great time. The weather was great, even though when it started to reach evening time, it got a little bit more humid because rain was coming, and we did get some drops, but honestly, not a big deal at all. So that helped. The crowd was very, very manageable. And again, I don't know if that was because it was Easter, because we thought it would be busy, but I guess people were, over at their grandparents and hunting for eggs in the backyard. I have no idea. But it was very, very manageable. We had a good time. We managed to do almost everything we wanted to do, and the things we didn't do, I'll do again when I go over the summer. So, yeah, I wanna know your thoughts, like, especially on these rides. Like, am I insane? Did they not change the Fata Morgana languages? Is that just in my head? Tell me. And also, if you've been on the renewed Flying Dutchman, did you also notice that concrete box? Or yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I was taken aback by that. But at the same time, the new scene is great. So there's that. And of course, Danse Macabre, have you been on it yet? What did you think? Do you want to go on it again? Um, what do you think of its repeatability? And how long would you wait for it? That's something I'm really curious about. Like, how long would you wait to go on this ride? Because, yeah, I feel like opinions may differ. A lot of people were very, very excited to try it when we were in the queue. I heard that all around me. So I want to know what you think as well. Cool. So that's all I had for you today. Thank you very much for listening. Listen, I want you to do a couple things for me, all right? So, what I mentioned in the last episode is that I now have a Patreon and petjeaf.com. And I know on petjeaf.com, Ideal is not working yet. I'm working on it. It'll be up soon. But if you want me to create more content, then if you want to like help me out there, please consider, becoming a contributor there, becoming a sponsor there. You will get access to some perks, of course. It's not for nothing. Then you can share this episode with a friend, share it with somebody who might be interested, somebody who might be interested in going to the Efteling, somebody who wants some tips, or somebody who you know is going to disagree with me. I'm always up for a good discussion on it. And the sign of maturity is being able to change your opinion once you receive new information. So if you have any more information or opinions or whatever, do let me know because I'm always interested to know about that stuff. Then make sure you're subscribed to the podcast in whatever player you're using to listen to this. And while you're there, you can also leave a review, preferably a good one. But hey, if you're not feeling it, then do let me know as well, because, feedback is always welcome. Criticism, constructive criticism is always welcome. So, yeah. Oh, if you noticed, by the way, the audio might be better because I have started using a different type of tool here to record the podcasts. So that's also the type of stuff that I want to use these Patreon and Petje Af contributions for, to make sure that I can deliver better quality and keep this website up and things like that. So, that's what it's for. It's not for so you can sponsor my theme park trips because I'm going to be going regardless. So, anyway, with all that being said, I want to thank you again very much for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode.